Do you struggle with getting the right message for your business? Welcome to the Radiant Business Podcast. Today, our guest, David Zuvic, is a professional copywriter, and he will present you with exactly how you can solve this problem by working with a professional to get your message right and get it done. Welcome to the Radiant Business Podcast. This is your host, Jason Ross, along with co-host Terry Cleary, and I'm bringing you a special guest, David Zuvic. Now, to start with, I am a web developer, specialize in small business marketing and small business websites and SEO, as well as website conversion. David is a copywriter that I've worked with on a few website projects, and we've worked really well together. So I thought I'd invite him out here to talk with all of you. First, Terry, you would introduce yourself, and then David, you'd introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Terry Cleary. I am a small business owner. I'm an actor and a voice actor. I'm also a content creator, and I do a live show. There's a lot of things that I do, and I love it. I podcasts as well, obviously, and I'm here to learn like the rest of you. So because I just started my business less than a year ago, and I need help, and that is why I'm here, and that is why I love talking to all of these people.
Very nice. Yeah, David Zuvic. I'm a copywriter. It's similar to Terry, though. I'm all over the place. I love doing a bit of everything, and they all kind of eventually come together. So
Yes.
Originally, I was a marketer, but I wasn't very good at the writing part. I was really good with the artistic part. I'm an artist, and then I would see I was having problems with the writing. It just seemed so flat and boring. That was the worst part. So I got into the writing part and found I really enjoyed it. So I'm always learning and trying to find out what writing brings people in and what interests them and what connects with them. And so I do web pages for companies, blogs, ebooks, and I write. I'm a ghostwriter for. I've done a few already, and always learning as well. So now I also do a podcast, which is why I got invited here, because Jason saw that I started a podcast. So he invited me here, and maybe I'll have you guys on mine.
Yeah, that'd be
great.
Wonderful. And by the way, I have a book.
You do?
I haven't finished it. It's just about done. But man, I'm just having a hard time trying to find the time to finish it up because I do want to get it out by the end of September. So
tell me about your book.
It's something simple. It's something I'm probably going to put on my website as well as, something to draw people in. It is a beginner's guide to voiceover. It's called
Nice.
The Voice You Were Meant to Find, a beginner's guide to voiceover. And it's basically finished. I just need to do all the fine tuning. And I really wish I had a copywriter to read it over and go, okay, we need blah, 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 blah.
I'd be happy to read it over for you.
Okay. I'd be more than happy. And I would give you a little something for that. No problem.
We'll figure a barter thing out. No worries.
Yeah. Something. But yeah, that's great. So you're all around too. So you're a Renaissance man in the creativity world. So, how did you start your business?
Well, that's a good question. Originally, I was working with a company that they had a unique setup. And instead of the traditional bricks and mortar, we all worked at home. This is over 20 years ago.
Oh, wow.
I remember it because my daughter was just 2 weeks old when the gentleman came to my house to offer me a job, you might say. And so it's easy to know how long I worked there because how old my daughter is. But and that was the sales and marketing. It was a company that manufactured satellite equipment, which I love. I love technology. So kind of that balance of creativity and stuff that makes you think.
Yeah.
But I was doing the creative side of marketing, the visual side of marketing. and I would leave it to the engineer to give me the words, which I thought was a good thing. So I would use visuals to explain stuff and then get their text in there, but it was so dry, and I thought it was just because the content is dry. I mean, it's engineering. How could it be interesting? So I'd add the visuals to make it interesting.
Well, that's a voiceover's job, to make it sound interesting.
There you go. Well, you'd have a tough time.
Believe it or not, corporate narration is a thing, and a lot of businesses use it. And there is a way to deliver even corporate, dry sort of information. There's a way to do it and engage people and let them, want to listen more.
Well, then we definitely got to get together, because, once the owner finally retired and sold the business, I didn't want to stay in that business any longer. And I don't know how, I found a course on copywriting, and I thought, this looks really interesting. So I phoned them up and I said, what does it cost for this course? And they checked in. I goes, well, you already bought the course. I said, what are you talking about? She goes, yeah, you bought it 6 months ago. and I had to think about it. I realized, oh, right. I remember I was thinking, how do I make the copy better? I bought the course and then got busy and totally forgot about it.
Yep.
Okay.
So
creative people do that. It's like course, across the board we do that.
Yep. And so that course turned from self-help to shelf-help.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly. Oh my gosh, that's brilliant. I mean, you sound like every other creative person I know. Seriously. I've done the same thing. Exactly that same thing.
Well, what blows my mind,
wow.
I forgot. I didn't remember buying the course. That's just...
Oh, you gotta love it. You gotta love
busy.
it.
So long story short, you took the course, you got into copywriting, and then you and I met to do contents for a website, and the rest is
it just opened a door. I mean, writing I thought I would never do. It just seems out of my league completely. And now I find that I write every day and I love it. And it took a while. I got to admit, it was a lot of work for me to change those, exercise muscles I don't have.
Yep.
And, or I thought I didn't have. So I almost feel like I'm looking at it from a different perspective than most writers, because most writers seem to be born, or I've been writing all my life kind of thing, and I'm not that person. So it took me a long time to call myself a writer. That whole, I forget the term, but some syndrome. Which one?
Imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome.
That's the one I was thinking. Yeah.
Just about all of us have that in the entertainment industry.
Yeah, but when other people have it, you're like, what's wrong? You don't, why do you have that? But with yourself,
yeah.
Of course it makes sense.
And you do. You look at everybody and you're like, well, you're great at what you do. Why do you feel that way? It's just
saying goes,
something
we're all our
in our
own
brain.
critics.
We are. Exactly. And then, those of us who, have a different way of thinking with the ADHD brain, that it's super, super common with us. So,
and I'll give you like the boss I had there, when I started with him, he was selling the product. Let's say, I think it was like 100. We had different products, but at the time they only had a few products, and one was $100. And I said, first of all, we got to double the price. He said, oh my God, we can't do that. Oh, and I said, no, it's way too cheap. And I realized he can't do it because it's his product and he feels wrong, but somebody else can come in and do it for him. So that's why I started realizing as a copywriter, I can help people because they don't think their writing is good enough. And so they aren't going to do it. They're going to stop the marketing. And so if I can walk in and say, let me help you with that, then they don't have to worry about having the confidence or the imposter syndrome or anything like that. So I've been able to help with that a lot because everybody can write, because everybody can talk.
Right.
But they're never going to get over the hump.
But can you translate the message? Exactly.
There's also the time factor. It takes time to produce good copy.
Yes.
Yes.
As a web developer, I hire copywriters because I just don't have the time to do that. And if I tried to make the time to do that, then that means I'm cutting at least in half the total amount of projects I can do, and that means I'm cutting my revenue and profit potential in half. And
Right.
as a business
That's
owner,
right.
I can't afford to do that.
Right. And, as far as, because my business, I definitely could use a copywriter, because when, people come to me and they're like, okay, I want an ad, or I want this, or I want that. I want something, for social media, whatever the case may be. If they come to me and they don't know what they want to say, I'm going to have to come to a copywriter and go, okay, this is, what they're saying they want to say, but they don't know how to say it. And can you help us with that? Because that is what you're going to do, right?
Oh, I have so much fun when I talk to people and they tell me about their business, let's say, and I just start asking questions because they're an expert in their business.
Right.
And so I just let them talk, and they basically write the copy for me.
I love it. I love it. I
As
love
long as
it.
I ask the right questions,
Yeah.
because when they start, they start with the spiel. They're giving me and it's not
That's just
genuine.
automatic. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just
And to me-
automatic.
and that's the problem with marketing. But not the problem with marketing, but the thing with marketing is you can't sound like everybody else, and you
Right.
can't sound stale and sterile.
No, you have
And
to be
so,
authentic.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, so when you can make the customer comfortable enough that they're chatting with you, then you've got gold.
Yeah.
Because they're
Right.
an expert in their stuff. So as long as you can ask the right questions, and they want to tell you because they love what they do.
And you've
So
mentioned
you're
asking the
giving
right
them a
questions a
comfort
few
level.
times now. And that really comes down to knowing what to survey the customer and the customer's customers, so you can know their business, know what problems it is they've solved for their customers. And
Exactly.
yeah, so maybe you can talk a little bit about that process of, going about doing a survey to find out the raw information you need in order to write effective copy.
Well, as I say, I start by getting to know the people so they can just be comfortable with me and chat instead of trying to have that facade in front of the business.
Right.
So I go through that conversation. I record it because if I take notes, I get lost trying to connect with them and listen at the same time. So I generally don't take notes unless it's something really stands out, and I throw it back at them right away. And then the questions to do with their business, like you say, what problem they're solving, what is good about their product, what issues they're having. And then I find out when I ask who they're selling to, it's not so much of course, who are their customers, what's their market, but there's also a little bit more on that. Is like when I say who are they selling to, let's say they're selling to customer X. Do they sell it to which person in there? For example,
Who is the person that's deciding?
Right.
Who's the
That is the
decider?
avatar of your ideal customer.
Yes.
Because what happens is, let's say with my last company, we were selling to engineers because they were the ones that figure out which part goes in their product.
Yeah.
But you're not quite selling to the engineer. You're selling to their boss who has to okay it.
Yeah. Who makes the decision?
Right. So on one hand, I had to make sure all the technology was in there. So the engineer would say, this is what I need. I also had to simplify it for the boss who might not be that intricate with the information. So, and quite often, the more complex something is, the more you have to simplify it, which I enjoy doing. I love that, because if it's complicated, you don't understand it.
That's right.
If you can't
And
explain
people
it
get
to a
lost in that.
5-year-old.
Yeah. People get lost in it.
Right. So that's the gist of what I do. I don't sit down with a survey that I work out. I wouldn't say I fly by the seat of my pants, but I go more with, I think I start off with people as, let's see if we can work together. Let's see if we like working together. Because if I have a customer I don't like, or they don't like me, it's
Yep.
going to be a lot of work.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know,
And not
so-
only that, there's a good chance that they're not going to be happy. And
Yeah.
you don't want someone to be unhappy about the work, because energy is important, and I agree with you 100%. In entertainment, it's a little bit different. But I wanted to ask you about what, as far as when a customer comes to you, a business comes to you, what do you think? What would you say their biggest problem is, as far as if they're doing this themselves? What are the mistakes? What are the mistakes that people make by not coming to a copywriter for their website or whatever it is that they're, needing copy for? What do you think the biggest mistake is? And by the time they get to you?
This is the tough part for them, because it's if they haven't really done it before, they're doing it on their own, like Jason says, and now they're getting too busy. What are they going to do? Generally, they just stop marketing, because that's the first thing you let go.
Oh,
And then your business generally starts to go down, and
Right.
you're wondering what's going on.
right.
So really the first mistake is inconsistency. You market, you stop marketing. You market, you stop marketing. And you'll see that the people that are generally seen in marketing are the consistent ones. So you don't have to spend a lot of money, but you do have to make sure that it's always out there. Like, a lot of people will spend, let's throw so much money at it and see what happens. And if they would have waited another month, it would have been okay, but they stopped too soon. And they didn't see results, so I stopped. So they're looking for instant results. And marketing, you can't do that, because a lot of times you try something, doesn't work, you try something else, it doesn't work. So you're testing at the beginning to see what works.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's a tough...
Not to mention, it usually you require minimum 7 to 12 points of contact with a person before they're willing to make that purchasing decision.
Right, because you're again, just like everything else, developing trust in a relationship.
That's right. And when I started with this last company, their big thing was creating a website, because this was 20 years ago. So websites were still fairly new. And then at some point I said, we have to go to a trade show. And they said, it's cost a lot of money, and we're not going to sell anything there. And I said, I know, but if you just got to have a website, and we all worked from home, so we couldn't take a picture of a factory even, to put on a website. Right. So I said, if we go to a trade show every year, we just pick one, go every year, they know we're real. That's all it took. And that made us so much money, because they would come to us and shake hands, and we've talked on the phone. Now I know who you are.
Right.
But we had to go consistently.
Yeah.
Even though we made no money from the trade shows, because they're like, well, we didn't make any money. I said, are you kidding? We're going to make a fortune.
Exactly.
Yeah,
because
gratification.
those take time.
Yeah.
These relationships, of course they do. And they do pay off in the end. And you're right. Even creating content on like TikTok, because I do that every day. You have to do it every day.
Yes,
you don't do it every day. Be consistent. Look at your analytics. Know when to post. And stay consistent with the type of content as well. So yeah, consistency is a very, very big deal.
To me, it's the basic.
Just in life, right?
Right.
I mean, that's a core thing in your life, is just be consistent.
And
show up for yourself and be consistent.
And to touch back on something that David mentioned earlier, one things that I've noticed as a web developer, having worked on many projects with many different types of clients, is whenever a client's wanted to DIY the copywriting, they think that they can do it, what invariably ends up happening is copy that would have taken someone like David maybe 2-3 months to get from initial concept to final approved draft. The client trying to do it themselves ends up taking them 6 months to a year to get it done.
Yes.
And they're
exactly
unhappy with how long the project's taking, and
Yeah.
And 9 times out of 10, it's because, like 99% of the time, it's because they really needed to hire that professional copywriter who it's their
Yep.
full-time job is get their copy done.
Yes.
Client.
Yeah, it's funny how handing somebody over some money is a bigger deal than spending the money internally. Even though you're not actually paying for it, it costs you a lot of money because you're doing it yourself and you're not doing something else, like you say, that you should be doing.
Or
so it costs you money.
Or you're constantly putting it off because you're doing something else that a client was
You
paying
prefer,
you to do, and then you're
Right.
putting it on the back
Exactly.
burner
I mean, you're
constantly.
like, this isn't what I do. This, yeah. Yeah. I want to do this. Yeah, exactly.
Actually, one of the things I love is deadlines. And I always get that reaction of, why would you love deadlines? And it's because if you don't have a deadline, you don't finish.
Yeah, motivation.
And not only that is doing something artistic like writing, you're always trying to make it perfect. And so you can always make it better. And so you just keep at it and keep at it. So you need that deadline to say, okay, I have to finish now. So I love deadlines. Otherwise, I could write all, never finish. And
that was me today, Jason. I had a deadline and I had 34 voiceovers to do, but I got them done.
Yeah.
But like you, David, and it's something we have to learn to let go of, is that perfectionism, especially when you're delivering, the read itself. While you want it to sound good, you want it to sound authentic. I have a penchant like you to try to be perfect. And then I end up sometimes sounding like AI, which isn't a bad thing if I want to play an AI in a movie. Right? But I don't want to play AI in real life. So,
don't let
I do have a penchant for that.
Make sure you're avoid falling in the trap. Don't let perfect be the enemy of good.
That's right.
It's better to do a good marketing piece.
It's okay to be a mess.
It's better to do a good marketing piece that the public has seen than to try to do the perfect marketing piece that the public never sees.
Exactly.
That's right. That's absolutely right.
I always say, the answer to the question you never asked is always no. The answer to the question you did ask might be no, but it also might be yes.
Right. But typically a maybe is a no.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's true. I mean, it is. Typically, if someone says maybe, that's a no. You can just bank on it being a no. It's really rare for someone to say maybe and then
unless you consistently keep asking until they finally cave. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's called nagging, but hey.
That's right.
Or enough time has passed that they haven't gotten the thing done that they were wanting to get done, and they realize, I need to hire someone who knows what they're doing to get it done because I'm never going to get it done.
But that's one of the other issues of marketing.
That's actually one of my biggest clients, or the biggest client I have. It took them 8 months to realize that they needed me to be the one to do their website and their SEO. And if they were trying to do it themselves, it was just going to be one of those things that never gets done. And they spent 8 months of putting it off until they finally came back to me and said, can you do this for us? And sure. And now that was in 2019 that we finally started working together. And here we are, 2025. I'm still working with that same client on a different business of hers that she started up about a year and a half ago. And she's continued to be our biggest client. And so, that persistency of following up with people really does pay off, and that willingness to hire professionals really pays off.
So how long does it take you to do, like somebody's website? How long would that take you to do?
Well, websites are all different lengths, and
well, that's true. Let's do a basic. So, if we're talking basic, how long would that take you to copyright? And because I'm going to have you do mine eventually, because I need to redo it for sure and without a doubt. Jason knows that.
Yeah,
it depends on the client, because if they are available to me to work with, it's quicker. The last one I did, the client was so responsive. We got it done in no time. I would say it took us, it was less than a month for sure. And that was the whole website. They like me. I can do simple websites, so I don't do the if there's a lot going on. But if it's just, it was like a business card. And what I like is what they know what they want. And then what I can give them is feedback on if it's a good idea or not. And it's always their idea. It's always their choice, which I'm okay with, because there's no exact way to do marketing. And that's the tough part. All you can do is give them advice and tell them, let's test it. Best way to do is test it, and that's the most fun, because
as you might remember from us working together on that first website project, the way that I approach it is we start with this 4-step formula: get attention,
right.
Engage, educate, offer. And where you shined was in being able to start with producing those headlines and handle the get attention, engage, that show here's the problem that our client's addressing, here's the solution, and they have a solution coming up. Then we do the educate, where you then share what is the solution, how does it work, what are the benefits, and you word it in a way that's going to get people all excited about the value and the benefits that they're going to get from that solution, providing proof that it's going to do what our client and we are claiming it's going to do. And then we present that offer. Here's what you do to take that next step to get that solution.
That's funny. I remember that. Sorry, what you were going to say, Terry?
No. Go ahead.
I was going to say how I remember that we were working on headlines or subheadings, and they are by far, I think, the most important part of the content, because
that was going to be my question. Go ahead.
Okay,
I love it. Love it. Go ahead.
It's the hardest thing to do, because generally what I do when I write, I just quickly write down a subheading that explains what's going on, but they're generally boring.
Yeah.
And it's a placeholder for me while I'm writing. And then when I finish the writing, that's the worst part, is going back. Okay, how do I create really good subheadings? Because ideally, somebody looks at, say, a web page, and they just scan the subheadings, and they know what's going on, and they know if they're going to want to read it or not. Because I don't want to waste somebody's time. If it's not going to give them the information they need, I don't want to torture them and make them read my stuff if it's crappy. But if it's something that will help them or they need, I want to draw them in and show them quickly what it's about. And so if I can come up with the subheadings that work, that explain everything and make them go, oh, I really want to get into depth with that, I will. And I want to tell you one story. The best heading I've ever made. So I write, my parents are in their 80s. Actually, my dad died recently, but my mom's in her late 80s. No problem. Anyway, that's another story, but thank you. So I've been recording their stories for the years and writing them. And there's one story that my mom told me, and because I've been asking the questions over and over, like I would ask, record, write it out, and then think, hold on, that doesn't make sense, and add. So I get them to delve more into their past. And one day she threw out this story she'd completely forgotten about, and I loved it. I wrote the story, and I came up with a heading that I think will pull most people in. It was "The Priest Who Killed Hitler." And I mean, who's not going to read that?
Right. So, exactly. Yeah, exactly. I mean, same with content. No matter what kind of content you're putting out, you've got to grab someone's attention. Same thing on TikTok, same thing on any social media. If you don't grab someone's attention, I mean, this is why they tell you, you've got to have something on the screen for people to read, let alone, it can't just be a photo. It can't just be something like that. You have to capture them with some sort of copy, which is what I do. I do all my own stuff. And then, of course, for the people like myself who don't really want to hear the content, I just want to see the words. I just want to see the words flashing that the person's saying, because I don't really want to hear the actual video. I just want to see what they're saying, because they've already told me what it's about. It's right on the screen, but I want to hear what they have to say about it, but I don't want to hear what they have to say about it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So
I guess everybody's different,
Yeah.
Now,
I mean, a lot of people do that. They scroll and don't listen
Right.
to the verbiage because they have that caption option. And they've done some recent studies that show most people want those captions because they don't want to hear the actual video. It's interesting.
now once
So what you do is more important. That's the point I'm
Well, thank
making is what you do is more important.
And I've reviewed probably over 100 websites since I started reviewing websites as part of my business process. And one of the most common things that I'll find, mistakes that I'll find on a website, and you can add to that as well as a copywriter, David, is the headlines will focus on company name, company slogan, or some other empty platitude that looks good but doesn't say anything.
Right. That's mine.
Like
That
a
literally
mission
is mine. Yeah.
That's why I'm not a fan of mission statements.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who cares?
It's almost like saying, "Hey, trust me, trust me."
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't
but
lie.
people aren't going to trust you until you build a relationship
Yeah.
with them, and they don't give a shit. They don't. Pardon my French. I'm sorry, but they don't care. People don't care. They
Because-
don't want to. They want to know what
Yeah.
you can do.
Yeah, because the
them.
mission statement is something that somebody made up to sound good. It could have nothing to do with your company.
No,
So
exactly.
I don't know if anybody reads them or not, but I don't because
Yeah.
where
Actually,
my
I do
mission
for
statement
fun.
is on the about page. For people that are
Yeah,
wanting to learn more about the company, they can go there, read up on that stuff.
Exactly.
And the company's biography,
I mean, if
who
they
they
want
are,
it.
why they do what they do.
But it shouldn't be the first thing you see when you land on somebody's
No,
page.
what you want, the first thing to see is, here's the problem I address. I have a solution. And you want a headline that hits the people's emotional hot buttons that
Yes.
shows that you're addressing that. And that's where you want to work with David, is he's the one that can then find that right wording that'll give that statement
Draw
there. And when you
someone
do
in.
that, you immediately differentiate yourself from every other business out there.
Exactly.
And you immediately establish who your business is for, what you do, what problem you address, and that you have a solution to it, and what that solution is that you address it with, and here's how I get that. And for
Exactly.
the visitor, here's how I get that solution.
Actually,
There you go.
I'm going to be on a mission now to change mission statements. So you could still have them there, but I would change them so that it's more of a take everything on the website and condense it to here,
Right.
instead of something that sounds really general and vague and the American way of greatness. But
Make
it's
it-
more.
I was
It could
just
be all
going to
about-
say, I think mission statements are ego.
Make it be all
That's
about
what I think they are.
make it be all about here's the core problem that we seek to solve.
Yeah, but that's
Yeah.
not what most people do with a mission statement, sadly.
Yeah.
It isn't. It's more egotistical driven. And I think that's why, I'm turned off by it like David is. I truly am turned off by a mission statement. I don't care. I want to know what you can do for me. And I want you to tell me as soon as you're right. Tell me as soon as you land on the page.
We do have to move along. So maybe, David, you can share us, how could people get a hold of you if they want to have you working on writing their copy for their website or any other project they have they need a copy written for?
Well, my company is TerraTech Copywriting, and they can get a hold of me by email. I don't know if you want me to say it out here or what's.
That's up to you.
Yeah, we can put it in the description below, as well as in a pinned
Yeah,
comment.
that'd be great. Yeah, but I would say as a parting note, the coolest thing about copywriting is trying to make it as natural as possible, and not like an ego thing of we are very sophisticated, so we use $10 words, and you might not know what they mean, but at least we sound smart. And that's one of the, like with bigger companies, that's one of the struggles I have, is they want to sound that way because they feel like they have to.
But they don't.
Yeah.
So that's one of the struggles I have with them, working with them, is trying to make them sound like they're connecting one-on-one with somebody. And it is hard for them. I understand from their part, they have to sound very professional.
Right.
But maybe that's one of the things that smaller companies have, that they can connect with customers more directly and get more business. And maybe bigger companies can't do that. It's one of the things I think about.
Yeah.
If you work with bigger companies, you could say to them, you can add a little bit of personality in.
Yeah,
So
it's
You
hard.
can.
But
So with that,
like whose personality, right? Because
Yeah,
it's an
exactly.
overreaching
So with that,
thing.
that's been the Radiant Business Podcast. Thank you, David, for being on. We'll have his
Thanks for having
info
me.
in the description below. And
really
make
nice
sure
meeting
to
you, Terry.
remember to like
Yeah.
the video, whether you're on YouTube, whether you're watching us on Rumble. Follow us on Rumble, subscribe on YouTube. Leave us a comment, maybe ask David a question, or give us some encouragement about what value you've gotten
Ask us
from this,
anything.
takeaways. And with that, remember that you're awesome, so shine your awesomeness, and we'll see you in the next episode in 2 weeks.
You got
Bye
it.
for now.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Sending waves of peace.